Kanpai. Like jazz hands, but more anime related.
Exactly.
So, welcome everybody to episode 225 of Kanpai Cast, where today we're talking about 3 wasted sequel seasons. 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree, possibly. But, never mind. Before we get into the topic, I want you all to like, comment, subscribe if you're able. Check down the description for all of our links to Discord's, Patreon, streaming, audio version, if you want to listen to that. So you plug that into any of your audio listening queues, then please join Patreon. It helps Nasuth get paid for all his editing he does. And come on over to the Discord where we can have a meme section for you to submit your memes that we look at the end of the show. What else is there for the thing? When are we doing the 6-episode rules,
Well, I thought you wanted to delay it by a week because Freerun.
Yeah. So, not next week, the week after.
That's my understanding.
Which means I got to start catching up.
So it's just that notification to all of our subscribers expecting a review episode next week. It's not. We're pushing it back by 1 week until the week after. Okay? Thought we'd warn you in advance. So yes, description. And we read out viewer responses every week. So get in the comments and we may read yours. But
probably will, unless there's like 50 of them or something.
Oh yeah, once we actually get popular. It's only been 3 years?
Yeah.
Cell phone. Sorry, Zeno. Right.
So
let's get into the topic.
What are you talking about? I got loads of followers over on my main channel.
Loads. Huh? Girthy followers. Anyway, just get into the topic. This is one that I thought we should revisit because we have done season 2s and what went wrong with some of them, but in a more general sense, where we brought up the ones that we don't like the most and where we had the whole zip through of all of our arguments of why they were bad. But we've never really gone into them and broken them down, except the one, which I think was done on Xeno's at the channel, about Shield Hero Season 2.
It was this one, but it was like really early on.
Yeah, it was really early on. We broke down Shield Hero Season 2. Just a while back. So we thought we'd keep this a bit more bite-sized, do just 3, maybe 4 if we've got time. It depends on how fast we get through them, where we break down what went wrong with Season 2, how we felt about it, can we fix it? It's just a more in-depth version that we can really get behind. And bear in mind, these aren't the worst of the worst, because the one that is universally acclaimed to be the worst sequel of all time, none of us have watched. We didn't bother with it. Which is The Promised Neverland Season 2. Apparently considered the worst because it skipped multiple arcs, pulled out whole characters, and completely deviated from even what the anime had set up, let alone what the manga set up. In such a strange thing that anime only watchers thought it was a different series. If it hadn't had the same name, they wouldn't even have figured it was the same people.
No, wrong.
Oh, I should probably switch over to this scene now that we're actually talking about the topic, huh?
Probably.
So, to get into it, I thought we'd start with something that we can all agree on and that Xeno can really get his teeth into, which is Goblin Slayer Season 2.
Oh, God. The one that's almost as infamous as Shield Hero in this channel in terms of bad Season 2s that we regret watching.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, the first question, of course, is to each of us, how did we feel about it? What did we? What made it a bad sequel to us?
Xeno's gonna have a different reaction than I think you or I, because he's actually read the manga.
Also, the fact that I gave up on the series.
Yes.
Oh, that's true. You didn't watch Season 2 all the way to the end, or far. I think I may have gotten to 6 episodes. I don't think I got all the way to 12. I might be wrong.
And bear in mind, people, we are not going easy on spoilers. If they pop up, we are sorry, but we'll be able to mark them.
Don't watch these anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't watch it in the first place. Well, past Season 1, you won't enjoy it. So, Xeno, let's start with you. What made this such a bad sequel to you?
I think a large part of the problem was it was such a drive away from the norm. I can see what they were trying to do. They wanted to actually genuinely show the anguish of Goblin Slayer and, you know, killing victims of goblins and things like this, but it feels like they did the show a disservice by skipping ahead two whole I want to say physical seasons, you know, like autumn,
Arcs.
winter, summer, you know, no, because like
okay.
We have the autumn arc, right, which has like 2 or 3 stories associated to it, and then we have the winter stories, which has like which was in part the movie. Again, the movie was a mess because I think they suffered drastically from COVID, but again, the whole
COVID does eliminate your sense of taste, so yeah, I can see that being.
Oh damn! See what he did there?
Make another terrible joke, yes. Anyway, yes. But I feel like there was respect in the source material where they wanted to pay tribute to it. But there was such massive deviation that it felt really off. Like, how on earth was this centaur that's never been seen before? This centaur
we've never seen
barmaid
these people
supposed to ascend. Well, that's not true. The lizard.
That's not true. The lizard man. Yeah.
So, but how is this centaur supposed to ascend the bloody stairs?
Yeah.
And she does between cuts, doesn't she? At one point.
It's like it doesn't.
Well, that's why the stairs are so steep. It's for centaurs. Because that definitely would make it easier and not harder.
Yeah, clearly. But again,
certainly made it half a Goblin Slayer.
Again, the whole. I feel that part of the problem with the animation is that it played too closely to potentially the source material, like the manga and things like this. Not the light novels, but the manga. And when a lot of time when you're reading manga and things, unless it's something absolutely mind-bogglingly crazy like Berserk, where they have more detail than the sun in every nanometer like of the
cross-hatching. God, the cross-hatching.
Like the later parts of One Punch Man, where the manga artist that isn't one suddenly makes these like black holes and things in reality, where they've just got more sparkly things in there, despite it being black and white. Like, how the heck did he get that much detail into a black and white drawing?
Well, yeah. Also, like there's the huge cityscapes and things like this, but the whole point is, a part of me feels that they were trying to say true to the form of the manga, where it's okay. So the Goblin Slayer is going up these stairs, but in the source material, they probably didn't have the wall and things like this. So, you know, it didn't have to contend with. Yeah, it didn't have the perspective problems that the animation had, because one big thing when it comes to an anime is you have to fill in all that blank space.
Yeah.
You can't leave it empty. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was a huge knock-on effect. I feel that the show massively tried to...
I actually want to... I just quickly want to add on to that before you move on. I was actually talking about this with somebody else recently, and I think this is also a case of... See, in old anime, you could kind of get away with that. You would just put like a single color behind them for the wall, right? But these days, because the technology is so much better that they can do full backgrounds without too much trouble, it in a weird way it makes things worse off sometimes. Now, we were talking when I was bringing this up to another friend, it was specifically about like they posted an image from Full Metal Panic Maddox. Full Metal Skin? Metal Skin Panic. Metal Skin Panic! Maddox. And they were talking about how the machinery in that looked so good, and it was like from the 80s and 90s or whatever. And I'm like, now you look at things like the Transformers movies from Michael Bay, and there's so much detail put into them that it's almost like your mind can't process it all, and so it just sort of fades into the background. I feel like that's a similar phenomenon here, where they're putting so much effort into these backdrops that you don't necessarily need, and so it becomes visual, and it just ends up being visual noise or affecting things like the perspective.
No, I kind of agree with that. I also feel that there was a huge part of this that I don't want to say amateurish, but they don't carry the same experience that the first studio did. I'm not entirely sure who the first studio was. I don't think it was Madhouse. Was it?
Well, let's find out.
Let's have a quick look.
White Fox. No, that's produced by White Fox. I guess that's probably also the animator.
I don't know. Go on, Anime Planet or something.
Yeah, that's the main.
Nope. Yep. White Fox was the first season, and Lidin was the second season.
Right. So
Widen Films. There we go.
A part of me feels that maybe White Fox had more experience with.
White Fox definitely has more experience.
Sort of show. I distinctly remember White Fox that with the first season, any far shot of Goblin Slayer, they utilized CG. And it was like, this is a good, worthwhile thing to do. Now, why the publishers didn't stick with White Fox may have just been a simple case of, they had too much going on. Or maybe White Fox felt, we can't readily adapt this. We don't think it would be a success. That was case in point for season 4 of
Oh my
High School Double
god,
D.
White Lead-In Films is the people that did the terrible CGI Berserk. They also did Terror from Mars. Meanwhile, White Fox has done stuff like Steins Gate and Jormungand and Akame Got Kill and ReZero.
That's not a good
thing. Did I say that? And Steins Gate Zero and I guess they also did Annie Ferretta, but so yeah, I think Lidin just isn't as high quality as White Fox potentially.
Yeah. So there you go. I think I've tried to convey all my notes. Thanks, Nasuth, for helping.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. So Nasuth has different views, but mostly agrees. And I have to say, what got it for me was how they decided, obviously, to bring in new characters, rather than fill out the roster from the Adventurers Guild and things, where they had other characters they could have gone into. They had other places they could explore. No, they decided to bring in the next generation already, which is something that, as Zeno's pointed out, comes from a lot further on. And the only thing I can think is that it was designed to hit that progression that they wanted to try and give, rather than give us more of the same. But the problem they didn't seem to realize is that the more of the same, with some updates, was what people wanted from Goblin Slayer. They wanted to have that more of the adventures of this group before we moved on. And I just think it's incredibly bad storytelling when you do it that way. And then some of the other events that obviously Zeno didn't actually move on to watch, like the goblins at that mountain shrine, where they did use some of the powers very interestingly, like using a mechanical lift that was in there and Priestess's barrier to crush an eldritch horror between the mechanical movement and the barrier.
Wow, I think even I stopped at that point. I think I stopped around the Elf
you haven't
Village.
seen that? Yeah. So that adventure again was more along the lines of, oh yes, they get recruited by the same existing character, which is the sword maiden, the sword saint. Get sent off based on one of her visions to this mountain, get in over their head again, pull off something that ordinarily wouldn't be possible with their kind of more basic skill sets, and then when it looks like they're all exhausted, they get Deus Ex Machina by the same person who's brought an army with them to save them at the last minute when they're exhausted and another goblin horde is coming on with them.
I think
it just doesn't seem like... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't realize you weren't done. Please continue.
It just feels like they lost the essence of, this almost environmental storytelling where Goblin Slayer is like a force, like the Doom Slayer almost, where he is a mythos on his own, and they're trying to humanize him too much. Which, yes, the manga does humanize him to a degree.
But you can do it in a better way than they did.
You could do it gradually. You don't have to rip straight from stoic Goblin Slayer to vulnerable
taking
human.
His helmet off to cry.
In a couple of episodes. You could just actually progress the story. There's so we go through 3 stages. We go through the training of the new recruits. We go through the elf village, and then we go to the mountaintop shrine. And all 3 of them seem vastly unnecessary in the story. At this point, they would have been, further adventures for the crew later on. And if they'd actually had the wall here is kind of a things,
a gradient void. Not a gradient, but you know what I mean.
But at the same time, they didn't move Goblin Slayer with the scene. He should, from this angle, he should have moved up over the top of the scene so you'd see his boots on the stairs.
Anyway, sorry, that's going backwards.
It's just bad. So then there were, of course, these animation issues where things just didn't look right, where the teams didn't have any kind of thing. And would have worked as stills, probably did work as stills in the manga because, it was just... because they started off much lower down the staircase, for example. And it just doesn't seem like they wanted to tell the story of Goblin Slayer anymore. They wanted to tell the story of some standard adventurers that they now had as an IP. You see what I mean?
No, I feel like they did want to tell the story of Goblin Slayer, but they just wanted to get to the meaty, juicy, dramatic part and not ease the audience back in and thing.
I think my problem with it was we just had season 1 where Priestess learns how to be an adventurer and learns that the world is not as black and white as she thought it was. And then we skip to season 2 and we introduce this new recruit kid who needs to learn how to be an adventurer and learn that the world isn't as black and white as he always thought. And I'm like, didn't we just do this? Didn't we just do this? And then they grind everything to a halt so they could do the elf village. It's like, what are we doing here? I
think, again, so there's 2 stories that they skipped out on. No, sorry, 3 technically. One is the movie, which goes on I think a dramatically different direction in the movie, because I think the character that they find in the movie and rescue, I'm pretty sure when they find her in the manga, and that's basically where I stopped, she's already dead. Right? So that there is no rescuee or anything. But my knowledge of the manga stops halfway through the movie.
Movie.
Yeah. There's the story.
That's a couple further on, isn't it? Though it's towards the end.
So there's the story where they tried to attack, I think, the farm again, but instead of a goblin chieftain, it's actually Is it a dryad? No, it like the underground elves. I can't remember what they're called.
Drow.
Drow. Thank you. It's a drow, right? So it's the goblins are being controlled by this drow who seems to be some kind of priest for some dark god, right? And again, that's a really cool, interesting world building narrative. And they skip it, right? There's also Goblin Slayer goes on a date with the receptionist, right? Because she's the first one that gets there, and they skip that because
No.
Really...
I think they do that, don't they?
Well, then
he said,
or am I confusing it with the abridged series where they talk about it?
I know they talk about it in the abridged series, but the big thing with the date is effectively Goblin Slayer can't ever switch off, right? He's constantly living the trauma. That's the narrative that you get from the date. The date was a complete failure in regards to the receptionist's eyes, and Goblin Slayer never saw it as a date to begin with. You know, it was just like, you know, oh, we're just hanging out while I'm doing my Goblin Slaying duty. And this was when, oh god, what's her name? The priestess. Like, she ends up holding a celebration at the town, and this is for the heroes of the world. This is where you discover that the heroes of the world are effectively isekai characters. Like these three girls, whenever they die, they resurrect. But the story of Goblin Slayer is not about these characters. It's about effectively everyone else that doesn't have this fortune, blessing, and shenanigans. Yeah. Naz is currently trying to see if in the second season there was the date. Still looking?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think there is.
Yeah. They skipped out a bunch of stories and things like this. And I think if you kept at least two of them, you would have been able to ease the series back in a lot better than... Now we have a new character who's annoying.
Goblin Slayer refuses to date until all goblins are dead. Why? But why did that come up? Why did that come up in this episode? Okay.
Never know.
So it might have come up, but they don't say it in this. But either way, it sounds like he denied her if she did ask.
That's not what happens in the series.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Anywho, in the manga. Right, should we move on?
So that's Goblin Slayer.
Yeah. So no, it's not. What I was going to do with this one is, we then have the question very briefly. Did the high points of this first season set this up to be worse than it would seem, or does it stand alone as its own bad season, regardless of how good the first season was?
I think that this second season tried to tried to build a tower on top of the foundations that was season one, and they didn't do it properly, and that's why it collapsed. It's not because season one set a standard too high. I think it was just a simple case of they tried to rush it to make it great, but they made it worse.
Yeah. So remember how we talked about dividing? It's divided into three major arcs. I think the first arc might have been all right on its own, even though obviously we wouldn't know any of these characters very well.
It's quite short.
Yeah, but the moment that it grinds to a halt for the second arc with the Elf Village, I would have tuned out even regardless.
Yeah. So that leads me on to the next one, which is, what could be done to fix the bad points of this season? How would we have made the second season a success if we did it? Or if we had the chance to go back in time and do it?
Follow the actual story?
Well, no, I think you need at least one of those original narratives that eases it in. I wouldn't do the guild receptionist date. I wouldn't do her. I would either do the drow or...
Speak for yourself, I would do her.
Shut up. I'd either do the drow or I would do the movie again. Now, the drow one could just be like 2 or 3 episodes, but the movie I would do as basically the bulk of season 2.
Okay. So you expand upon it and work with how that works, and the because you said the second time they attack it's a dryad. Why not do the second?
No,
attack?
drow.
That's
what I'm saying.
So we do the drow, and we actually expand upon that build up. Maybe even send him on an episode where we actually encounter a drow to see what they're like first.
I think part of the problem is though that they changed the order of the events in the first season. So the last story, the last arc, was the attack on the farm. But actually, that happens before they go to the city with the Sword Saint.
Yes.
So they changed the order of the manga, or order of the events in the manga. So going from attack on the farm to attack on the farm may be really difficult. Right? So that's why I feel they probably skipped it.
I agree they should have done a lead-in thing first, but making the majority of it the second attack on the farm would have been fantastic, because you get that whole build-up, then a battle, then that recovery from it as the epilogue where everybody feels stronger and more united.
Actually,
and it leaves them...
There's a spin-off, I haven't read it yet, but there's a spin-off of Goblin Slayer Year 1, right, where he's basically still a kid and he's learning to be Goblin Slayer. His helmet still has horns, right? Adapt that instead.
Yeah?
Yep, that'd be good.
Because we've seen like some vague flashbacks to his early days, but nothing beyond that. I think if we were actually going to try to keep most of second season, I would get rid of the elf arc, and I would instead focus more on... I would add an arc before the Wizard Boy, showing just how far Priestess has come in the short time she's been with Goblin Slayer, so that when they introduce her as like, oh, she's going to pass this test where she mentors somebody else to prove that she has what it takes to be a silver adventurer, then I think it's silver. That would make a little more sense, because we'd actually and then obviously focus more on that as well to fill up the rest of the time. Focus more on her actually teaching the Red Wizard Boy, and maybe end with her getting her silver status before moving on to the mountain. Could be,
could be.
Because then we're focusing on our characters that we already have. We're developing Priestess.
Yes.
We're still adding new characters, but they at least fill. Maybe even the new characters come along with them to the mountain now that they've established themselves as we're helpful.
Possibly.
Or they go off on another. They realize that goblins are a threat, and so they go off on another adventure on their own to sort of spread the word.
Exactly. And that could lead into something else if there was ever a season 3 where they would go and meet up with them again because they need help, or something like that. If they're going to be changing the manga events so much. So we could. There is fixability about Goblin Slayer season 2.
Oh, and also bring back White Fox instead of leaving it in Leiden's hands.
Sadly, yes. Leiden does not seem to do very well with their materials. So that is where I would finish this on Goblin Slayer. Let's rip another channel favourite. That time I got reincarnated as a slime.
God.
I'm not going to be able to help with this one at all. I have no opinion. Other than gazebos, I know nothing about this.
Exactly. This show. Well, that's at this point you then know about season 2. Okay, this one is the is one that I can speak on, and what really hit badly about this one, because the first season was all about building up strength for something, for setting up this kingdom that he wants to set up within the Monster Lands, and meeting forces outside of it, on a one-on-one basis, meeting the adventurers, meeting other kings, meeting other, respectable people like school headmasters and things that could set up for more adventures later. And that whole building momentum thing is absolutely essential to how Slime progresses, because in the manga it gets genuinely ridiculous. The forces arrayed against our protagonist are on a cosmic level. He's building up to take on literal fundamental forces of the universe eventually. And so getting him established as a actual force to be reckoned with in the world is important, because he's got a long way to go after that. The second season, however, just slams the brakes on that by having, I think, only 3 episodes dedicated to actually taking care of any growing, and at least 6 episodes, not all of them gazebo, but 6 episodes devoted to just talking about what they're going to do. Incredibly static scenes, incredibly static moments where he's just talking with people he likes in a comfortable situation, and so it's taking absolutely no action. The culmination of those meetings, quite important. Sending people off to sabotage other kingdoms, sending people off to reinforce other kingdoms, building alliances, making important people their friends or their enemies. And I think the most important thing on this one that happens is that Rimuru takes the next step in his evolution, which is to become a demon lord. And that little bit of the show, that little bit they actually focus on, is a genuinely important moment, because without him there to protect his village, an enemy attacks and kills multiple characters outright. And they have to use some fairly inventive magic and some luck to try and rescue them from death without them becoming undead. And that's the whole point of him becoming a demon lord. What he didn't do it for the power himself, he did it to resurrect his family. The idea being that his power when he became a demon lord would allow the spirits of his family, as long as they were still in the area, to find their way back because of the transformation that he was going through. And
man, imagine if the show was brave enough to let them die and see how Rimuru deals with it.
Imagine that.
Oh well.
That would have been a thing. But
consequences,
still,
what?
So, because when it comes to consequences, he's literally lost the actual love of his life within the first season. So, that whole destined lovers thing is just completely gone. And as far as I'm aware, he never finds somebody that's like that for him again. So all of his adventures from this point on, basically him celibate. Still, the whole thing that went wrong with it is they spent the absolute most time they could telling, not showing. The setup for these different actions could have been half an episode. But they didn't. They wanted to sit through every moment of those discussions rather than let it be something they planned out and then just released the cast to do. And there could have been a half the season dedicated to actual things that happened.
Like actual strategizing.
Completely right.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have a nice sit-down strategy meeting where you see everything that they're going to do. but like at the same time, you don't want to get bogged down in it. Brevity is the soul of. Wait, no, that's wit. Never mind.
Have either of you heard the phrase that in a cinematic setting, visual setting, if you make a plan that the audience can follow, then something has to go wrong with it to make it, make it surprising or entertaining or conflictive. However, if you take that planning largely off screen and say, here's what we're going to do, remember this, you're going this way, you're going that way, you're going that way, but give them the actual instructions off screen, then that's guaranteed to work. Or even have it as a voiceover,
so you see them starting it, they're like a plan during the voiceover, and then you just come back to it later, and you can assume, the audience will assume that the rest of that, whatever we're seeing, has been part of the plan already.
Yes, and when something goes wrong, you can make it creatively wrong, saying, oh wait, we never expected this to happen, we had to improvise, and it actually builds up the characters more because they then show that they can adapt rather than it all just being this planning session.
Exactly.
What about you, Zeno? Did you watch through the whole second season?
No, I watched the first part of season 2, and I was mightily bored. There were some okay parts with it. It wasn't like the first season. The first season felt like it was action-packed and going like a roller coaster. But the second season was slowly building up, small drop, slowly building up, small drop. But part 2, when it just became meetings in gazebos, like, I didn't even watch the whole of season 2 because I could just see where it was going. The pacing had slowed down so much that I was kind of checked out already. A part of me wonders, is this a problem with the source material, or is this a show that they feel like, oh, we could eke this out over several seasons and make bank, right?
From people that have read the manga, to answer that question, people who have read the manga, these meetings did happen in the manga, but they were like 1 or 2 page spreads, because the entire conversation just happens in a speech bubble from, like they'll have a split of the 2 characters that are talking and have their conversation back and forth be across the whole page.
It's like in JJK season 2 or season 3, where they're explaining the rules of the culling game, and in the manga that was probably like 2-3 pages at best. But in the anime, it was like 2 episodes?
No, it was a whole episode.
Whole episode, and they have to
third episode,
and they keep the audience's attention by making everyone shift. They're standing around, but at least they kind of shift and move, and you get a lot of background images. And as I understand it, you didn't really get that in Slime. It was mostly them literally sitting around.
Yeah, it was a lot of
exactly.
And I mean, it just screams to me that it was done as a tactic to eke out the content. Like, I've argued this with, oh god, what's the Kaiju
Save
number 8?
Save money and stretch things out. Oh god, Kaiju.
No, so Kaiju number 8, and actually Nasuth, if you're willing to add that on the fly, I'd love to get your take on it. It just feels like they are dragging out the series to have these big, awesome, eventful animation sequences.
No, that's gonna be Kaina.
It's the whole thing. It's the.
Oh, okay.
But they just drag it out because, like, we need to trigger those endorphins.
Correct.
Yeah, to make people feel good about the flashy animation, but progression will take longer than the bloody sun.
So I didn't feel that way in season 1, and I think the reason is because I was still getting a grounding to the characters and the world, so I didn't mind it taking some time and doing some side stuff and, that sort of thing. But in season 2, it becomes incredibly blatant that they are wasting time in how we will cut to actions of our people, and then we will cut back to the control room or to another group or something, and how they are reacting to it, and they will say literally the same thing that we've just seen. They will repeat it verbatim out loud, and it's like, we don't need this. We're seeing this. We don't need you to go over it a second time. Just keep going. And so, season 2, 100%, I'm with you. Just incredibly blatant, cheap, obvious, pathetic time wasting, time stretching.
Really interestingly, though, I was really shocked with how they would add. We literally just saw it on screen for a second. They added so much with the whole basic tests to see whether or not Kafka and Reno could get into the Kaiju Defense Force. And it's like, none of that happens in the manga. Basically, they rock up in the car park, the car gets moved by crazy girl I can't remember the name of, and then they're in the suits. They're doing the test, right? There isn't any weird. There isn't this scene where they're crawling under barbed wire and shit. I'm like, so they're adding in extra scenes,
but those are fine, I think.
For the most part,
seeing
yes.
the training, seeing the tests is an interesting part of it, and it does build up Kafka's character as somebody who would barely pass anything in the first place.
Yes, and obviously the whole thing with seeing the same control room over and over and over again is like, oh.
Yeah, see, at least this is being used to sort of advance the character as a whole, even if it is extra and not necessarily important, but at least does it justifies its existence by bringing something to the scene that those control room shots just don't.
Yeah.
Or the meetings, the endless meetings.
Yeah, so on that, I would say that definitely for Slime at least, the high points of the first season definitely set up the second season for failure, as it were, because you came to expect that pace, and just dissolving it is 100% going to ruin it. But what would we do to make it successful?
I think this is down to adaptation. I think this is down to... Because my understanding is the 4th season of Slime is due out relatively soon. And... Isn't it supposed to be like 5 consecutive cores?
Ooh, is it?
Yeah, it's like season, what's it called? Slime season 4 is like 5 consecutive cores. Slime season 4. Yeah. No,
6
it's right
cores?
there. No, 5. No,
cores.
So, yeah, 5 cores. It's supposed to be 60 episodes.
And 60 episodes.
So it's just like... This is. I mean,
and how many movies has it had?
Huh? Oh, it's
how
had
many
a crazy
movies
number
has it
of
had?
movies.
Yeah.
But again, it feels like one of those IPs that are like, okay, so this is done gangbusters. We're gonna slow down the pacing, and
apparently it's being done at Bamco. so
right.
Expect the quality to drop.
Yeah, so I think they just need to readapt the source material.
Yeah. I think that genuinely the trick would be to show not tell.
Yeah.
They could have 100% sent these
we discussed that earlier.
different things.
Yeah, I think that was the fix.
So So the fix is, rather than explaining every single step in each over the course of multiple episodes, they should have started the explanation, started the journeys that everybody went on, and done those maybe as a bit of a montage with the discussion, and then started the actual plan. So you start seeing results, and maybe overlay, whenever there's a pause in the downtime of things happening, you overlay Rimuro's voice explaining the different parts of the plan, just like you would in, say, an Ocean's 11 movie or something like that.
I was about to say, it's a heist movie.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking, yeah. You could even flash back to the meeting room sometimes and be like, so now that we're enacting this part of the plan, this is when we discuss it.
That kind of thing.
Okay, Nasuth, you say that, but is that not what literally they do with the control room in Kaiju No. 8? They just flash it back to the...
No. But in this case, you would flash back to it like briefly, and then you could use that like just to remind everyone this is when we started talking about it. And then as they're carrying it out, you do voiceover again or something. You know, you don't have to you don't have to literally go over every detail and then show it again.
Okay. Where do we go from here?
Well, now that we've done that one, I was going to say the worst choice that they've ever made for a season 2 was FLCL Progressive.
Okay.
Pretty much every FLCL except for Alternative, in my opinion.
Well,
I mean, Alternative still wasn't necessary, but like it wasn't nearly as bad as Progressive and Shoegaze and Grunge.
Yes, exactly that. So, Fully Progressive is basically just redoing the entire thing, but with a female cast.
Yeah.
And in that respect, I don't understand what they were trying to achieve. You know, the whole point of this is that the story that FLCL told in the first place was a coming-of-age story of a young man in this extremely weird universe, and telling it in the fast-paced and visually stunning way where different styles come in and expand upon how weird this must be making the characters feel. And then they don't do that with Progressive. Most of Progressive is told in a fairly standard anime format. You know, that you have a couple of things where she's having a dream and seeing like the city she lives in being rotted away in the destroyed worlds and turning into a robot and fighting giant irons and all these things. But they're just her dreams. They're not actually what's, you know, changing the scene around her the way they would have been in the original FLCL. You know, they spend time talking about, you know, her mother talking about missing her father and things, and talking about the mysterious woman on the Vespa. And you realize that Haruka has been in this world long enough that she's a known and legendary figure, as it were. So there's no surprise idea of it like there was in the first one. It's almost like they're relying on the character of Haruka being so out there and so well known as coming into the sequel that they're just relying on her to sell the show.
No, I think actually what they wanted... I think there are two reasons that Progressive got made. And I think it's because the first the first Furikuri was almost like 6 episodes extracted from a larger story and just presented to the audience. No preamble, no conclusion, just these 6 episodes, because sometimes that's how life is. You know, sometimes you just see a little bit of it and then your part in it is done and you never see the rest. But the
that's
audience
the amazing thing about it.
Wanted to see what happens with the Pirate King and what happens when Medica Mechanica starts their actual plan to fuck things over, and so somebody somewhere in Adult Swim said, "Hey, I know. Let's get Production IG to do this for us."
It was amazing that one of the conflicts on this in his show was that one of the girls that's in the friend group, because of her family's connections, was leaving on the fucking spaceships to go to Mars, so they didn't have to put up with Medical Mechanica ironing the world flat.
Yeah,
they knew it was going to happen. It was a known thing, and they were just avoiding the inevitable. So how should I put it? The whole point of the first season was that the person you're following, the main character of the story you're following, not the main character of the overall story, has their arc and finishes it. You know,
it's a coming-of-age story told with extreme metaphor. Everything is metaphorical. Even the fact that he accepts the way that the world is, even though it's so strange, until he becomes an adult and suddenly he realizes things are fucked up. You know, that's also very, very coming of age, you know, but they just, they forgot all the subtlety and all the metaphor in season 2.
Yeah. It became a political commentary instead.
Yeah.
Where they comment on how the rich and the influential are just leaving rather than dealing with something.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I'm actually trying to find who was the main writer behind
Progressive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, basically to see if it was the same person, and sure enough, it's not.
It's like some Park, I think, from Adult Swim.
I don't think it is the same. Not because Adult Swim had nothing to do with the first Foodie Cooley.
No, yeah, sorry, I'm talking about the sequels.
Yeah. That's no, I'm talking about between the first season and the rest, and it just screams to me that this is like, let's take this idea and just do more. And it's like, no, this was a rounded off story. It's like,
well, it wasn't, but it's not supposed to be a rounded off story.
Well, no, it stopped where they wanted it to stop.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You can't just bolt on more without having the same creative influence that was originally there. I don't think.
There's actually a really good Western parallel to this, and it's Twin Peaks, right? So
Okay.
David Lynch, yes, David Lynch did season 1 of Twin Peaks, and it was very strange and incredible in a lot of ways because he had a real vision and a message that he wanted to impart in it. And then the studio got involved. And he quit because they wanted a solution to the mystery. They wanted, this is the age of procedural dramas. We need a we can't just have this open-ended question of who killed Laura Palmer, even though that's the entire point, is that people want these nice bite-sized solutions to their mysteries when sometimes life just isn't like that. And so he quit. Season 2 was the end, ended on a cliffhanger. Ended the way he wanted it to end, surprisingly, but on a cliffhanger. And for 25 years, people kept asking, where's season 3? Why can't we get season 3? He finally brings it out. I think if somebody else had done it, it would have been awful, like alternative and everything. Or sorry, progressive. But because he brought it out, he basically did it as a massive fuck you to the audience, saying, you asked for this, you wanted this is why you shouldn't have. You are ruining things by doing this, by asking for these things.
I see, as I've gotten older, I've certainly felt like we as an audience, we think we know what we want, but we really fucking don't, right? I genuinely really respect the fact that the studio that did the first 3 seasons of High School Double D haven't. It's like didn't do the 4th season because, in all honesty, the 4th season wasn't as good as the first 3. And vast majority of people, you're not going to like High School Double D. I'm just going to throw that out there. This is a weird Xeno thing, not anything else.
Xeno watched it when he was young, and so it stuck with him. We've all got something like that.
Yeah, young. Wink. Anyway.
Wink.
But like, even so, No Game, No Life. I would love it if there was a season 2, but
there is the risk.
Not just like we could have a season 2 and it turn out to be another Rising of the Shield Hero. I have not watched the first. I loved the first season of Rising of the Shield Hero. I watched it multiple times, nowhere near as many times as friend of the channel Loz, but season 2 really fucking spoiled it for me. Yeah. And I still, unfortunately, remember too much of it and hate it so much. Like, yeah, I think, again, I think that's what happened with One Punch Man season 2 and 3. People, it's hilarious how people ragged on season 2, then season 3 came out and everyone says season 2 is a masterpiece. It's like, no, it isn't. Season 1's a masterpiece. Season 2's okay. Right?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with being okay, but it's not.
Yeah. But don't backtrack comparing season 3 to 2.
This is like when everyone was ragging on the Star Wars prequels, and then the sequels came out. Everyone's like, prequels are a masterpiece. I take it all back.
But like, again, this is something I don't like about us as an audience, right? Us, the collective us.
Yes.
Is that we've always got to be so we've got to be comparing something to something else, not taking it at face value, right? Everyone hates. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to talk about Star Wars. Everyone hates on Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace. I actually enjoy a Phantom Menace. Yes, the pod racing was stupid. Yes, young Anakin is a bit of annoying. Yes, Jar Jar
but it has
is
so
stupid,
many setups
right?
that could have led to something really good, and that's what makes it so nice.
But the Attack of the Clones, right?
I
was so bored. The first half of that movie, right? I was so bored for the first half of Attack of the Clones. At least I was engaged the entire time with Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones, oh my god. And then Revenge of the Sith, I was fucking done.
Yeah.
Up until the fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, right? I didn't want... Just chop out the first, 90% of the movie, please, because it's so bad. Right.
Chop out the entire fight between Palpatine and Yoda. We did not need that.
It is awful. It's like you've got some guy in his 60s who's waving a walking stick, trying to swat a fly. It's just like, this looks stupid. This looks so damn stupid.
The fight between Obi-Wan and Vader in the first movie, or in A New Hope, as terrible as it was, because one of them was a really old dude and one of them couldn't see through his mask properly. Way more interesting than the Yoda and Palpatine fight.
God, yeah. So, anyway, sorry. That's enough Star Wars.
Enough Western stuff, yeah.
But I feel that a lot of the times you have to criticize the material for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it can have negative repercussions on the prior content, and if you were to turn to Madhouse or Mappa or any other OLM, any other studio, and you said, hey, do a No Game No Life season 2, and they turn around and said, no thank you, fine, I trust you because you've had a look at it and you've realized the problems that I haven't.
What if they gave it to Leiden? And Leiden said yes.
Right, so this is why I gave up on season 2 of Goblin Slayer, because at least I can still watch season 1.
Honestly, for people that like it, the original things are still there and are still good. So
It is true. That is true. Like, I could still go back and watch the original Star Wars trilogy without a problem. I can still go back and watch TNG, even though Picard exists. You know,
But I think there is value, though, that, like, I'm so glad I have forgotten all of season 1 of Picard, right?
Yeah.
Because I can now still watch I can still watch TNG and enjoy TNG for what it is. And I'm not forced to remember anything about Picard. But the second I watch anything of Rising of the Shield Hero season 1, I'm just going to remember season 2 and feel bad.
You're just going to remember how Oz dies for no reason.
That is the problem that a lot of people, I feel, do not respect, is there is a point in which you cannot separate the two because something is so damn bad.
I think jarringly different and upsetting.
I think the difference between TNG and Picard versus Shield Hero season 1 and 2 is that Picard, well, even the Star Wars prequels, I know I said we'd stop talking about Western stuff, but I think this is a good illustration, is that the original trilogy of Star Wars and TNG are both self-contained. Everything else around them, even though DS9 and Voyager were technically happening at the same time, or around the same time generally, they are separate, self-contained stories that just happen to share a universe. The original trilogy and the prequels, they are, even though they are connected, they are separate enough in the original trilogy storytelling and the prequel storytelling that I think you can watch the original trilogy without the prequels or the sequels ruining it. Same thing with, but like Shield Hero season 1 ends at a point where you then need to really go watch season 2. There's a hook. There's a reason to keep you invested. But then if you go watch season 2, it's all fucked up. So like you can't watch season 1 without throwing it in your face that there is more and you're not seeing it.
Yeah.
I think that's what the difference
is. It's difficult.
That's true. So, what, if anything, could we do to fix FLCL Progressive?
Just not.
Just not.
Just get rid of it.
Just go straight to alternative, and then
I feel
don't do any of the other ones.
I feel that we could potentially fix this, and again by cutting out a lot of the background. Hinting at it, yes. Hinting at these things like the friend group breaking up, because that's important to the coming of age thing. Telling the coming of age as a different person, fantastic. But much of the series is devoted to the little dramas instead of the weird things that are happening to layer in the metaphor. So instead of having these, I don't know, when they did the thing with the. He starts having a little bit of a crush on this one girl, or she has a crush on him in the original show. He starts growing things out of his head as usual, and they look like cat ears. But this girl touches his head, and it transmits to her instead, and a robot comes out of her head, and there's a whole thing where her emotions are going out of whack, and her actions, her speech patterns shift a bit. Until suddenly, the robot comes out of her head, and then it turns into a fight scene. And there's even a bit of a weird one where Kanti accidentally shorts is her. Which she's kicking him in the face, and he's trying to fend her off, and de-shorts her, and he has to like take a couple more kicks to be able to like slot her shorts back on. But it's as silly as it is, that is a metaphor for some of the way that we feel during our first encounter with somebody that has a crush on us, that we might not like, we might haven't even considered them in that respect. They just seem to be showing up in our lives all of a sudden, and then drama happens to them, and it's very, very important. And suddenly everything's all about them for all too short of a time. And it was weird. It was out there. It was utterly bizarre. That doesn't happen in Progressive. You know, these things aren't overemphasized in that way. They aren't, explosively out there. They're just dramatic moments between schoolgirls.
Fooly Cooly is trying to teach you a lesson without making it blatant. It wants the lesson to be so hidden behind the bizarre stuff that you won't notice it, but your brain will.
Yep.
Progressive just blatantly slaps it out there in front of you like an unsolicited dick pic.
Wow. Amazing metaphor then.
Yeah. Which just reminds me of the joke of unsolicited dick-dicks, which are those small...
Oh, dick-dicks are adorable.
Antelope from...
Yep. Anyway.
I would take as many unsolicited dick-dicks as you have for me.
I think there's a big moral to what we're talking about here. And if your second season or your spin-off show cannot stand on its own without the IP of the source material of the whatever came before it, then in reality you shouldn't do it, right?
Okay.
I have a perfect example. But
would you say that if it so I think we need to exclude story from this criteria because like the season 2 story of Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, doesn't that rely heavily on the story of season 1? Would it make sense? Would it stand on its own without it?
I see what you mean there. Fair enough, but it depends on how damning the story is. And this is
fair.
In part where I'm going with Birdy the Mighty Decode.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So this is going to be a little bit of a roller coaster of I think this is what this show is about, mostly because the second season is so bad. I genuinely have forgotten the first season. Right? So the whole premise is effectively we have a high school student, Guy, who is living his life. There's some weird shenanigans that happen to him. I think one time he's walking home from school, or maybe he has a job. Genuinely cannot remember a thing. And effectively, he ends up
meeting some crazy girl.
No, so basically, his body ends up getting destroyed. So he ends up sharing the body of an alien female detective, like space detective, while his body is being repaired. So his consciousness is sharing her body, but when he's in control, her body looks like him. And then when she's in control, her body looks like her.
Right.
Yeah. So she has superhuman strength.
So it's like Freakazoid, but boring.
A bit. Well, no. The first season is really good because it's about the mystery, it's about the crime, it's about the trying to find out where this gang is doing these nasty things on Earth. Who is like not progressed into space, and as a result they have to hide themselves, and so it was really, really good in regards to that. But then the second season, it all kind of fell apart because it became about Birdy, who's the female character in this situation, falling in love with unknowingly the villain in the second story, right? And you rarely hear the male side of this. All the stuff that made it really cool in the first season just basically didn't exist in the second season. You try to write the narrative for it, like, oh, it'd be really cool if this happened, and it just doesn't. as a result, the story falls so damn flat. I have become so disheartened to ever watch the first season again because of just how bad the second season is. Yes, I could probably go away and rewatch the first season and never watch the second season again, but I feel that a lot of the time, if your second season cannot stand the trials of, well, what if this is completely detached from the original IP, then maybe you shouldn't make it. There's a whole slew of these sorts of shows.
Yeah, season 2, just by this brief description, sounds way less interesting.
Yeah.
So season 2 starts after, a few months after Shyamalan was killed. I think that's one of the main bad guy. While attempting to use Ryunka to kill everyone on Earth, starting in Japan. Senkawa and Birdy are still attempting to maintain their dual lives until space criminals connected to the Ryunka case escape from Federation police custody. That sounds much more like much less interesting than like kid got murdered by police person and now has to live in literally switch bodies with them to stay hidden while tracking down the criminals that she was here for in the first place. That sounds way more active and engaging and less like, oh, nothing would really happen except for this accident, and this accident of criminals escaping. That sounds awful.
It's just honestly not that great a series. And if you can't, build a good foundation from your second season that doesn't require the existence of the first season, I just don't think you should. Now, granted, as you two rightly pointed out, well, what about DanMachi, right? DanMachi season 2 realistically can't exist without season 1. But imagine it did. Imagine season 1 didn't exist and you just had season 2, right?
You do still have a motivating factor in there. Yeah.
You would want a season 1. You would want a prequel to learn about how we got to this point, right? Yeah?
I think I actually did just figure out why things like that work and things like Birdy season 2 don't. And it's because season 2 of Birdy has no motivating drive until those criminals escape. But season 2 of something like DanMachi has its own motive. Even though that motivation is still connected to season 1, it still has its motivating drive to do things. Like there's a reason beyond just let's just wait around for something to happen. No. They've actually got a reason from the beginning to do things.
Yeah. Thaylien?
Yeah. No, I really like that comparison with if you just had season 2, people would want the prequel.
Yeah.
That is how people should address season 2s in general.
Yeah.
And that it just hit me on that one. There are so many shows where I want to see the prequels already. There are the sequels, and we saw it. We saw the prequel with No Game No Life. We saw how they got there, and it was epic. It wasn't the same thing. It wasn't presented the same way. It was a true prequel where you see the historical reason that everyone's there in the thing, and that really gives context to why the world is the way it is in the season, in the main series, and that really hit home. So yes, I absolutely agree that it's an ideal that you should have.
Yeah,
but on the same side, I am 100% behind the idea that a sequel should build on what they actually do reveal in the first season. Whatever the first season is, the sequel to it should always take that route of
not necessarily escalation,
if you don't,
but just more.
Yes, it's like we got fucking penguin martial artist on screen. And
I
that,
think,
again, as technically builds on from the previous season, but why? How? We don't know.
Let's not worry too much about it. There's another example of why a second season shouldn't exist. If you'll humor my never-ending conversation about this. And that, in a lot of cases, is harem stuff.
Mm.
A really, really good example of this is the series Infinite Stratos. And the whole premise of Infinite Stratos is effectively only girls are allowed to pilot mechs, except for this one guy. So this one guy has to go to an all-girl mech piloting school. Fair enough. Season 1 effectively rounds off with him choosing out of his harem, right? You know, fair enough. So how do you do it for Season 2? Well, everyone has to have a lobotomy, completely forgetting who he actually picked at the end of Season 1. Because it doesn't make a blind bit of sense. And honestly, it doesn't need a Season 2. It really doesn't. You could have just been fine with a Season 1. Yeah?
Yeah, I believe that. See, if it does finish the important part of the story for what the show is, the important part for it is the harem's comedy. And if it then finishes that, you don't really have a lot of places you can go. The only way they could have finished it that way is if they pulled a To Love Ru thing on it, where he picks, but everyone thinks he picked them. You know, because he got in To Love Ru, the main protagonist goes in, makes his confession to the person he wants to confess to, but just as he's bowing to make that and closes his eyes, everybody else turns up and is in a line in front of him. So they all think he confessed to them.
It just feels that in some situations, just because... So here's the Jurassic Park answer. Just because you can, you should think whether or not you should.
Yes.
Yeah.
But much like bad sequels, life finds a way.
Oh, God, tell me about it. The good news is, I don't think there are as many examples, at least I like to hope, but maybe I'm just blanking on so many of them. I don't think there are as many sequels in anime that are literally the production studio just bleeding the show dry. Whereas in the West, we see it time and time again where shows have more seasons than the sun until they're just not popular anymore.
And then the final season just gets cancelled.
Yeah. Yeah. In the West,
bleed the show dry over and over.
Yeah, in the West, either the show gets cancelled early because it just wasn't picked up and it was amazing, or it's cancelled late because it turned awful. Very rarely does it.
Very few cases, it was doing absolutely fine, but it catered to an audience that wasn't making them as much money, and something else came out that was going to cater to the wider,
reality TV,
more stupid
reality
audience.
TV killed so many good shows.
Firefly.
But no. So it was cancelled too early, right? So Firefly was cancelled too early.
Firefly was shown out of order, which was the big problem with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but that's a large part of the problem. And now we've got like so many shows in the West that are just like, this is just awful.
I think part of it is the way we've talked about this before to a small extent. Part of it is the way that these shows in Japan get approved in the first place. You know, they've got to make it past a production committee, which is not just a single producer and a single company. You know, it's a whole fucking board of like inter-company groups. So I think just to get a show in an anime at least in Japan, we haven't even talked about any of their live action stuff, and I don't think any of us know enough about that side of things. But for anime, they've got to jump through so many hurdles to begin with that I think they're less likely to get the kind of blatant studio interference that we get on Western shows, where it's just one group, one person.
An alternative take on that is the difference in purpose of the show.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. In the West, shows are made for the entertainment value of the show. If they're from an IP,
to sell the commercials,
if they're from an IP, but in Japan, the shows are made to sell the manga and light novel. So it doesn't matter if there's a season 2. If the season 1 is good enough, people will go and buy the source material, and that's what they actually want them to do.
I can tell you, after Dan Dan season 2, I bought the whole bloody thing, and I want more.
Yes. My only reason for not doing that myself is because if I start watching it as an anime and I enjoy it as an anime, I don't want to spoil myself. But
I'd say even stuff like Game of Thrones or Percy Jackson, it's not made to sell the books, really. It's made
the books
sell
were
commercials,
good, therefore,
or to sell HBO subscriptions.
Therefore, the things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they think, the books did money, therefore the visual novel must make more money. Or the visual of the novel will make more money. That's why the movie of the original Percy Jackson movies were so fucking bad. Because they weren't trying to adapt the books so much as they were trying to get money off the IP and bleed it dry a bit.
Yeah.
And it's also why when they actually did adapt the books properly with the actual series of Percy Jackson, they did a lot better because the making it more faithful to the actual books proved more entertaining, and so they actually managed to get far more viewership on those than on that one season than the movies ever really did, and far less people laughed at them.
Cool. Conclusion.
Any other ones we want? Actually, I do want to hit one more before we leave, and that is one that doesn't have a second season yet, but it will. And that's Ninja Cat. So this is the category of shows that don't have a second season and should never have one, even though it's been announced. There aren't many of these, but Ninja Kamui is one of them. Ninja Kamui was an Adult Swim show. I don't remember who. I think it was Production IG. I don't remember.
I can look it up.
Yeah, please. Either way, it was. It started out decent, and then it switched over to power suits, which would have been good if the power suits didn't all look like trash. So the fact that they're making a second season of this is shocking. The second and third season have been confirmed, which is crazy. I don't remember seeing anyone saying good things about this online. I don't know what Adult Swim is thinking. Same way, I don't know what they were thinking when they made grunge and shoegaze. At that point, Progressive and Alternative had already shown that there wasn't a lot of interest in their versions of Furikuri, and yet,
it says on. This is weird. This is a really weird layout of a wiki page. E&H Production.
Oh, that might be right. Actually, yeah, that does sound familiar.
And production companies are Solar Entertainment and Williams Street.
Yeah, those are... Williams Street is the Adult Swim company. I don't know who Sola is. E&H has done some other stuff. I don't remember what, though.
Well, as you've asked, not a whole lot. Red Cat Ramen, which wasn't too bad, to be fair.
Yeah.
Undead Unluck Winter Arc.
Which was alright, but not great. Yeah.
Yeah. Bullet.
Did they? Oh yeah, they did do Bullet.
Bullet, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing the upcoming Death Stranding one. Okay, well, all right. And again, the animation was fine until it turned to CGI, and that's when it just dropped and like. Anyway, well, yeah. So that is second seasons that shouldn't exist but will.
Yeah.
Any other ones you can think of like that? I mean, we briefly touched on how you probably don't want a second season of No Game No Life because they'll ruin it. But are there ones based on the season 1 that shouldn't get a season 2, but will?
Well, I kind of thought that of Solo Leveling, but apparently I was the only one in that regard. I thought the same for Arifureta. Arifureta was fucking awful.
There we go, Arifureta.
God.
Even though it's already going, we'll count it.
Okay, so I think in conclusion, realistically, if a second season cannot stand on its own, independent of a first season, it shouldn't be produced.
If it can't justify its existence, like if there's not a really good motivation to make it.
Yeah. And
beyond money.
like if it wasn't for the fact that I was already reading the manga before One Punch Man season 2 came out, I would have probably not bothered.
Really?
Yeah, seriously, because there is so much there's so much of the manga that's left out of season 2. And it's just like.
But if you hadn't,
I had started the manga before season 2 came out. If I hadn't, I probably wouldn't have read the manga because of watching season 2.
Oh, I thought you were saying you wouldn't have watched season 2 unless if you hadn't read the manga.
No,
I okay.
Season 2.
Sorry, I got you now.
Vice versa.
It wouldn't have motivated you to.
Season 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's alright. Maybe I said it weird. That's a high possibility. Right. Anything
Excellent.
you two want to add?
FLCL Shoegaze can suck it. Yeah. No. Always much like the same simple thing about Western adaptations of existing IPs. Adapt the IP. Because that's what people were entertained by in the first place. Don't take it in a new direction. Don't reinterpret it. Don't take away characters and add in fresh new ones. That's pointless.
I will say there's sometimes when you're adapting the source material, it is so much harder to simply just straight adapt it. Because this was really apparent in the most recent adaptation of Dune, right? I did not ever understand why, I think her name is Chani, who's like Paul Atreides' wife, the Fremen wife.
Yes.
Why she was so like anti him becoming the Messiah for the Fremen, right?
Yes. Because
I do not remember her ever being like that in any of the other adaptations, and I will fully admit I have not read the source material, right?
Oh, okay.
But
that's why, yeah.
But it turns out, it turns out that the director changed her character to better reflect Frank Herbert's depiction of Paul Atreides becoming the Messiah in the books.
In the books.
Right?
Yep, exactly.
So I do feel that there are some cases you have to change the adaptation.
I think she was like that in the sci-fi miniseries, but I could be wrong. Definitely not in the first movie.
No, she
wasn't. The first movie was really, really not an adaptation.
Yeah. So no, she was on board for it in the sci-fi miniseries.
Okay.
And but like in a lot of cases, depending on tone and how it's done, like in a manga, it is so much easier to adapt because you have to have the visual interpretation of the manga, which can readily translate to animation. But in literature, it's so much harder because you've got to make sure that, you know, intent is conveyed in the animation.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that when Thaylien said adapting the source material. The Return to Silent Hill movie just recently came out, which is supposed to be an adaptation of Silent Hill 2. And I watched a review of it, and they fucked it up so bad. Again. This is the third Silent Hill movie they've made, and every time they come really close with the aesthetic, and then fuck up the story really bad. And I don't understand how they at this point, it is the year of our Lord 2026, and they still don't understand when you adapt a video game movie, just adapt the video game.
Oddly enough, the Halo series, right?
Oh god, yeah.
Like, they set the production crew in a room with all the video games, all the books, all the comics, all the thing. They never touched a single one of them because, like, we'll just do it. We'll deal with it. We'll do what we want. And it's just like this is why you don't have a faithful adaptation and the show gets fucking cancelled.
Yep.
Anyway,
isn't just one final thing? Isn't that why the Warhammer 40k movie is actually supposed to be okay? Because our favorite Superman actor, Henry Cavill,
gave a
kept
shit about the
correcting
lore.
them on set.
We don't know. So
we're theorizing that it actually could be good because he actually had an expert on the topic material acting in the movie in a major league role.
But at the same time, it really depends on the production staff because
he could correct them all he wants, but if they say no, we're doing it this way, then he's contractually obligated to do it that way.
Well, unless he walks away, because that's what he did with The Witcher. Like, he had so many no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, because he is such a diehard Witcher fan. I wonder how much that has actually impacted his appreciation for the franchise. But I've seen where the actress that played Ciri turned around and said, like, I wish I left at the same time he did. Yeah. The production's massively dropped, and I didn't even know season 4 had already come out, and apparently it's just
neither did I until I was today years old.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah. Right. So what are questions?
Absolutely.
Had a nice little ramble at the end.
First of all, Zrugel says, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, then Kanpai News is very interested in you. Please sign up below to this video by hitting the button labeled subscribe to have about half an hour of anime news every Tuesday.
Indeed.
Zrugel also says, have you ever received an anime box set as a gift? If not, what's your favorite piece of anime memorabilia you've received as a gift?
I don't know that I've received any as a gift.
I have it on the shelf.
One box set as a gift, and you will never guess which one it is.
Magical Ballistatics?
You guess which one it is. That's the only reason I watched it, and the only reason I still have it, because it was a gift.
Can I get my head out of the way? Right, so right here... Right?
Wait, that's No Moon.
Oh, no, it's no, that's my head. So on my shelves, I've just pointed to two mini, very delicately painted Guyver Gigantic and Guyver Gigantic Dark. They're little miniatures and things like this, and they're very expertly crafted by one of my best friends, and yeah, I love them.
I don't know if I've ever received an anime-themed gift. My brother did once give me a pin from... at the time, Final Fantasy VIII was one of my favorite games, and he gave me a pin based on the symbol for Squall. And I put that on I had that on my messenger bag for years. just years and years.
Right. Moving on, Riku7, title redacted, asks, "Whoa! You kiss your cat with that mouth?" Xeno, yes. Imagine you own a cat Guyver. You spelled Guyver
Cat girl Guyver.
The cat girl Guyver. You spelled Guyver wrong. Sure.
It would be a Nico Automata.
You mean Neko Automata?
Possibly.
Anyway. Guyver cat spelled horribly wrong by Thaylien.
Yes, based off Ricky's.
If you could combine a Guyver suit with a domestic animal, which would be the most effective at the goals of the show?
Horse would be too stupid.
Say horse.
Horses are domesticated.
Horse would be too stupid.
Horses are dumb. Horses are dumb as fuck. Cows they're not as dumb, but they are still pretty dumb. Pigs are surprisingly smart.
They would have a lot of room down the bottom for the Guyver cannons.
Yeah. No, Guyver just has 2 boobs. A cow would have, like, I don't know, 6 to 8.
Well, if you wanted that, then you could go for a dog, because they have the multiple rows.
Anyway.
Yeah. Dogs are pretty loyal, so they might work, but they might also get turned really easily by the bad guys. So, like, if they just had a steak,
offer them Guyver treats.
A cat would just fuck off. It wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Fish? I'm thinking fish.
Ooh, fish would go work.
I hate you.
Salmon
Right.
slap.
Now, if you could combine a Guyver suit with a human and a domesticated animal at the same time to make a hybrid, which combo would be the most impressive to watch?
Cow.
I'm tempted to go fish again because of Guyver Mermaid. But in this case, I think a horse would work because you have Guyver Centaur.
Yeah.
Guyver Centaur would actually look pretty epic.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Because their back could carry, like, armament platforms and things. So they could, like, spool guns out of their horseback.
If we're opening it up to non-domesticated animals, I would then say either a rhinoceros or a blue whale.
Dear audience, I am so sorry for this line of questioning. We may have to actually bring in some reviewing process. Right, let's move on to the comments.
What he means is he wants to censor me. Don't let him. Respond in the comments and tell him not to censor my questions.
Type 1 in the comments if you don't want Thaylien to be censored.
Yeah. I pay to be
Type
here.
anything. Anyway, right, so first of all, going to the comments, and we have the news. Strometh Shell says, "Oh man, I didn't bring any news. Can I have some of yours?" Yes.
You can borrow a cup of news anytime.
We're sharing it with you.
Mr. Google says, "News. Xeno is staying quiet because you two would interrupt him anyway."
Interrupt him anyway.
Not wrong. Right. In relation to the new Mario merchandise, that talking flower sounds like a silly waste of money. Definitely. Much like most.
Yeah.
In relation to the Hello Cat sushi, oh man, now I'm hungry. Not wrong. Neat. Some rumors this week. Thanks for the news, guys. Right, okay. And then moving on to the comments from the cast. Dougal says, Kanpai! On the topic of relatability potentially making a show better, I don't think I, or most people, need to have fiction be relatable. I think stories hit harder. I think stories hit harder if they are relatable, but making something relatable doesn't make a better story. It doesn't make a story better. Sorry, I read that backwards.
That is a true statement.
Xeno is blitzing through his examples, but I generally hate anime set in school, so it's fine by me.
Nice.
I agree that school in Spy Family was used badly. It should have played into the comedy because the comedy felt better when it wasn't overused. Yep.
100%.
I'm going to have to watch Akashic Records of a Bastard Magic Instructor. Yeah, it's genuinely a good series.
It's not a bad binge.
Yep. When we were reading Zrugel's previous comments on the show for this season, as for me not picking up any of Nasuth's shows this season, we just have different tastes this season.
Yeah. Clearly mine are better.
Peak memes this time, guys. Thank you for another great episode. Moving on to the comments from Strombus Shell. It's fine if it's done right. .jpg.
We managed to not say it this episode. I was so tempted during the conclusions to say it's fine if it's done right.
Yeah.
And then here it is.
When we mentioned Dragon Hatchling from Strombus's comment last week, haha, I forgot about Reincarnated as a Dragon Hatchling. Every now and then I like to watch So Bad It's Good shows, but that one doesn't leave an impression on me, I guess. Yep.
Already stopped.
Sorry, what I meant by what's so bad it's good show are you watching? I meant what awful show are you suffering through so I can enjoy your pain. Mwahahahahaha. Lol,
Yeah, that's
okay,
why, that's still
Xeno,
the
I'll
brave.
pick up Chained Soldier.
Good man.
Well, and then Kanpai, and then lastly, Riku says, I appreciate the kilt reference. Thank you, Thaylien.
For Scotland!
I
Everyone
don't
loves a
remember
good
the kilt
kilt.
reference.
Instead
Right.
of wearing a skirt, you wear a kilt
Right,
and you get the same effect.
So, moving on to the most important part of the show, the memes. The only reason anyone turns up here, including the three of us. So, yeah, let's do it.
And if you like torturing us with your memes, you
I paid to be
can.
here.
If you like either torturing or delighting us with your memes, you can drop into the Discord and drop them in a super special secret channel that is open to you, all of you, but closed to us. Well, not exactly closed, but hidden.
We avoid.
Muted to us, so that we can. Somebody else can collect them up for us and put them in the show, and then we react to them live, live recorded. And we've got 5 this week. We take up to 6 to say that we got 5 this week. So let's do that. And if you like any of these memes, you can go look at them again on our website.
Me realizing I forgot to take the spoon out of the microwave.
Oh god.
What? Wait, when is that? When they set the fire off in the dungeon?
I
don't know.
think so, yes.
I think so, yeah. It's they got a fire trap and they're using it to cook the side deep fry stuff.
2 types of sibling. I'd do anything for my bro, even if it's losing my arm. I'll kick your ass, lol, please. God, I need to watch Inuyasha again. I really need to watch Inuyasha again. Alright.
Oh, so this is what riding a dragon feels like. Charizard, am I
Oh.
Well, because he's not a dragon type. He's just
And that's
fire
why he
type.
left.
Oof. I just got my new cosplay. Want to see it? Nod. All right, babe. Come in. Ta-da, I'm Lucy. Take me to the moon. No need. I got the moon for you right here. Oh, come on! Over 2 years since the anime aired.
Never long enough. Never long enough.
No, it's always too soon.
Yeah.
And lastly, Rimaru's Multiverse. Rimaru, Sniper Rimaru, Sorcerer Rimaru, Useless Rimaru, Assassin Rimaru, and Maid Rimaru.
Yep.
True.
Oof. Oof.
Ramaru. No, Remaru. Alright, on to mine. I got some bangers this week. Watching an anime with 100 plus episodes, or watching an anime with 4 seasons and 25 episodes each season. Now we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're talking.
Totes.
My friend asking for a relationship, single me. A relationship advice, single me. Well,
Yeah.
I happen to be an expert.
Yes.
Me, when I accidentally realize that I still have to socially interact with the delivery guy when I choose the delivery option from the food app.
Oh, brilliant.
Relatable.
Can't you just leave it by the door? The knowledge of the universe flowing into my brain the second I hand in my exam paper.
Yep.
Every time.
1 second too late. Yeah.
Yep.
And my last two are videos. I'm going to bed early so I can feel rested.
3:28 a.m.
Yeah. I can't relate.
Trying so hard to sleep.
It's over 9,000.
God, this happens to me so often and I hate it. And my last one.
Oh, you poor thing.
Dark Souls, but it tastes like One Piece.
I saw this one earlier.
This is the Pontus Sullivan fight. I recognize it very well.
Pretty, be careful. I don't want to see my work squandered.
Oh no, it's looping. Alright, let's move on to Thaylien.
Just like the series.
Now I want to play Dark Souls 3 again.
Hello, Farron from Fair and Beyond Journey's End. Hello, Marcel from Dungeon Messy.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, does anyone have the Anya one with her?
No. God.
No?
No.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
If you're gonna quit something this year, quit being a little bitch.
True.
If you're gonna quit something this year,
Alright. I gotta go through these and turn off the loops.
Farron, I see you've killed dozens of my meat puppets. Maybe start with "Hi, how are you?" next time and not commit murder.
They don't call me Freerin the Slayer for nothing. Now, are you gonna let me finish you quick, or are you gonna do a bunch of useless posturing?
Do you know how my magical abilities work, Farron?
Posturing, gotcha. You're lucky I'm immortal.
We put our souls in this fancy little scale, and whoever's power level is lower then gets dominated. You sure worked up a sweat killing my soldiers, which is crazy because they're literally faceless. You've used up too much power while I've been enjoying the show. Prepare to be judged.
Oh,
How
dominate
frequently do
me.
you check your opponent's soul tower level or whatever before using that thing?
Not once ever. Why do you ask?
Sweet. This is gonna be funny in a second.
Behold, the most accurate
second.
subtitle ever.
True.
Oh, Reincarnated as a hero's rib. Anime coming in April 2026.
What?
That's gotta be fake. That's gotta be fake. That's 100% fake.
No, I've seen this floating around.
100% fake. No. We're fact checking this.
Quick,
Reincarnated as a hero's rib. Fucking no way. Fucking
a rib of a cheat hero with a harem and a happy ending. That's the protagonist decides to reincarnate as that.
Anime was a mistake.
It was.
Right.
In any case,
Thaylien's last meme is a video.
life when sleeping was the worst part of the day versus life since sleeping is the best part of the day.
True. So true. Oh, the feels. Oh, the feels.
Oh,
All right.
feels.
Xeno, take us away. Make it better. Make it. Oh, yes. I think the Kanpai Cast
yes.
Twitter account put this out, or Blue Sky account put this out too.
Well,
It's a good meme.
Great meme.
It's over. 'Tis but a scratch.
Appreciate a good Python reference.
Absolutely.
A win is a win.
What? You kill it? Yeah. Where's Strong Guy drop? Wanna go see?
Yeah, I do.
Hey! See? I do know you.
Shut up and give me a sensu bean.
You got it, best buddy. Too bad we couldn't finish our fight, though. I didn't even get a chance to whip out my new
Victory for Vegeta.
Oh, TFS continues to have the best Vegeta ever.
They do.
Oh my. Oh my.
I'm going to refrain from any more goblin slaying for the time being. Pathetic.
Yep.
Pathetic.
And then my last one.
Hello, miss.
He wasn't a good protagonist.
I rapture you with a tale of daring do.
Oh, I saw this.
I don't have anything going on right now.
Nothing? Okay, well, long ago, I had an option to take the hand of a man who needed my help. I let that chance pass me by, and it's my life's greatest regret. Remind you of anything? Do you relate to that story at all?
Not really. Should I?
Shouldn't you? Look, what I'm saying is, help. Help me. Please. Please help me. Now. Please?
I don't know. The only spell I know that lifts stuff out of other stuff only works on boats and water.
Maybe you could use your hand and grab my hand and then pull with your tiny elven body, and I would not die.
Maybe. But I'd have no way to know that'd work. Quite the pickle.
Try! Try it out! Give it a shot! Science up, you boy! For the love of God, I beg of you!
God, huh? Maybe if you pray hard enough, you'd get out. I would have probably swung something like that.
Hey, Miss Fern, I heard something about Father Dad. Did you? Oh my God, Nightman!
Save me!
Grab his hand and pull!
Oh, gross.
Grab and pull!
Oh, Fern. What would Fern do without you?
Yeah, sorry, that one tickled me. Right, well, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and or listening. We have absolutely no idea what's happening next week. Nasuth, I keep saying Thaylien. Nasuth has come up with some idea. However, he's completely forgotten that this is the episode that comes out before Valentine's Day. Who knows what we're going to do, right?
Oh, and poopy.
Right, so that's it. Thank you all for watching and or listening. And now it's time to bottoms up and Kanpai.
Kanpai!